Here I'm going to do a short series of videos focused on different aspects of the Time Lords in regards to their history, technology and their culture. To start, I'm going to look into probably the most well-known aspect of their technology, the TARDIS. I'm going to be covering the basic types based on era, split probably into three parts. The time race, when the Gallifreyans were first building and designing TARDISes, moving into the first Great Time War in Heaven, then another video, maybe two, based on the peacetime TARDISes, before the final video based on the TARDISes used in the second and third Great Time Wars in Heaven. The first craft I'm going to talk about is the timescapes. To start with, they are not technically TARDIS capsules, but they are a precursor to that technology. They were constructed and launched under the orders of the 508th Pythia after predicting that Time's horizon would only be breached via physical means. First launched 34 years before the anchoring of the thread, that's estimated to be around 3,503,412,365 BCE. It was propelled and navigated by the mental energy of the 6 pilots. During the test flight, the ship accidentally collided with the future 7th Doctor's TARDIS, forming a sardit, trapping the chrononauts inside. They were eventually able to escape with the help of the Doctor and his companion Ace, before returning to ancient Gallifrey just after Rassilon's ascendance to power. This return was taken as an omen of Rassilon's good fortune under Rassilon's rule. Its captain was Quesenda Olyestri Peccary of the House of Ford Farding, the House of Rassilon. It was crewed by Vale Shonzi, Vale Voyancy Cheverel, Regis Tilim Lacotte, Chess Pearl, and Amoni Distoyosa Horizon of the House of Blyledge. The second ship on the list is the Type 0. It was created by Omega and the Other a year after Rassilon restarted the time program. They were the first Gallifreyan structure to be created by a form of block transfer equations known as forced matter calculations. They were dimensionally immanent, i.e. they were small on the inside and can only realistically hold 3 to 4 people. From the descriptions, it seems to suggest that the interior resembled that of the Peter Cushing TARDIS from the first Dalek film. They were initially powered by Terranium found on Gallifrey's moon Pacifi Gallifreya. However, they were later modified to include an Artron power mast to receive power from Gallifrey's Eye of Harmony. It was using one of these that Rassilon entered the Quaba black hole and removed the nucleus of the said black hole, the Singularity, that would later become the Eye of Harmony. The 5th and 7th Doctor found one of these capsules buried on a human colony in 2592. The ship contained the Doctor's wife, Lady Patience of the House of Blyledge. An excerpt from the audio drama adaptation of the novel describing it will be played now.
Found a machine. At first we thought it was just taking up one of the cavern walls. That would have made it the largest structure on this planet. But no, what we'd found was buried. We were just looking at the tip of the iceberg.
And what did you see?
Metal. A dark living metal with conduits made from plastic, porcelain, coloured glass, something that might have been wood. Our spectrometers couldn't get a reading.
The ship was capable of being remotely controlled using the Time Control Unit. This was utilised via Time Lord telepathy. This craft was ultimately destroyed as part of the 7th Doctor's master plan to ensure the Theru-2, a potential rival of the Time Lords, were erased from history. Next on the list is the Type 1 TARDIS, which was the first to be called a TARDIS, as well as being the first that was designed to rely entirely on power from the Prime Eye of Harmony on Gallifrey, akin to the modifications made to the previous Type 0. They were the first to require the Rassilon imprimatur to fully operate, and due to the constraints of the first Great Time War in Heaven against the vampires and Yssgaroth, they were fitted with a Psycho telemeter to track the vampires. The next 2 types seem to be basically similar, with only a few extra modifications made from model to model. The Type 9s were the first ones to be installed with blocks preventing them from accessing Gallifrey's own future, to work in conjunction with the backtime buffers which prevented TARDISes from entering Gallifrey's own past. The Type 10s were built 126 years after the anchoring of the Fred. The actual real date of that should be on the screen now. Using at that time experimental warp matrix engineering, they were able to generate a dimensionally transcendental interior that's bigger on the inside. So it was only 126 years after the anchoring of the Fred that TARDISes were finally bigger on the inside. The final entry on this video is the Type 12 War TARDIS. As the name suggests, these were built to primarily operate as warships during the First Great Time War in Heaven against the Yssgaroth and the Great Vampires. They were specifically built to act as carriers and transports for the expanded fleets of bow ships. The massive exoshells could be mistaken for small planets, but their interiors were bigger still. They operated essentially as an aircraft carrier for the bow ships by repairing the maintenance for the squadrons of ships and to deploy them at any time or place necessary. The real-world interfaces tended to be unstable given the massive size of the exterior. While fitted with minimal weapons, they also featured a magnetron capable of moving planets and indeed entire constellations out of the path of the great vampires. During the Doctor's life, he has encountered two such vessels. The first was the Zenobia, the station upon which had survived the war and was converted to a courtroom for the trial during his sixth incarnation. The second had been attacked by a great vampire and overpowered in the Agamemnon system. Drifting aimlessly, it became locked into an orbit, and over the millions of years accumulated rocks and other mass caused it to resemble a comet. During this time, the ship was transmitting a Type Beam distress call that was supposed to be aimed at a specific Time Lord base, but due to the unstable orbit, it moved throughout space and time, accidentally setting off N-forms such as the one in the Quadrant and the one that destroyed the Quoth homeworld, respectively in damaged goods and the death of art. And it also disturbed nexuses. This was the Doctor finally destroyed the craft in the novel So Vile a Sin. Also to note, Russell T Davies stated in the essay about the Time War published in the 2006 Doctor Who Annual that these ships were brought back into commission during the third and last Great Time War in Heaven against the Daleks. The first video. Next week I'll be releasing either a video about all the demilitarized pre-last Great Time War TARDISes, or the first of a two-part video on that, depending on how long it is.